Hey, Yiska,
Hey,
what are the most iconic plays in Overwatch League history?
well, I guess I should expand a little bit on what iconic means to me,
For sure.
because iconic can be best, but it doesn't have to be, right? They're, iconic to me means how much impact did it have on sort of like the community and the culture around it? How impressive was it in any dimension of why we like esports? It could be skill, it could be beam factor, it could be like, like the pure emotion of the moments, the relevance there. And I think we've had quite a couple over the years of just like top moments that really bring out some sort of emotion.
Sure.
And we also, of course, polled some of the Twitter folks and selected from them. Maybe not based on the highest frequency of where they brought up, but reasonably close. I think, like, especially the iconic moments, because of the definition, like we're all pretty close together, right? And how much we care about these moments. So,
For sure. So, with that in mind, shall we kick things off with number one? What's or at least number five? Because I think we have five to go through. Or have you? This is the one where you've mashed two together.
So technically it's 6, but I would classify one of those as like one happening. Okay.
It's nearly Christmas. I think we can give you an extra one.
We'll get there. We'll get there. I think where I want to start is actually one that just feels impactful, right? I think there's something to be said about the inaugural season. Okay, was probably pretty impactful in this cultural zeitgeist, but really where like history was fleshed out was like this season 2. And despite there being GOATs, the rivalry between like the San Francisco Shock and like the Vancouver Titans, it was such a storyline throughout the season. We really were fleshing out, we were really getting there in terms of storytelling. We had our heroes, we had our villains during that season. And we had our back and forth, stage 1. It's the Titans that pull it back. And then, like, I think if that doesn't happen, if Shock doesn't get the bad beat there, they do not come back with such force, right? And then it all culminates in that grand final. And in particular, there's one moment in the grand final where it isn't the, by definition, deciding moment, right? I don't think that's really like it, because it's on map 3. There's nothing really like, okay, it's over because it's a best of 7, or rather first to 4. But it's more when that happened, everyone knew it was over. So we're of course on Eichenwald, or Eichenwalde, if you want to have it pronounced authentically. And it's actually, in truth, it's map 2. So the series isn't over until this happens, and it kind of feels like over. So Titans comes in, right? And the Shock are rolling Eichenwald's attack, right? And here, as we will see, Architect pulls a tech out that just makes Titans completely feel hopeless. So as we roll this clip,
got on the wrong side of it. So Min-Soo will wait in the wings here. He needs to make a huge
we see
play.
that he somehow gets up on the chandelier. Okay.
Yeah.
The song keeps playing in everyone's head from the chandeliers, right? Just to explain how that is even possible to those that have.
Can you explain like the mechanics behind that?
Right. So if you're a fan of only Overwatch 2, this will look mad to you, because Bastion, throughout the histories of Overwatch, has gone through many different iterations of how this hero works. Back then, there were 2 things that are very different than the hero is now, right? The first one is he has an ultimate where he turns into a tank form. And the cool part about tank form was that you can rocket boost So if you remember maybe Team Fortress 2 with the soldier being able to jump based on rocket shots, that was possible with the tank form for Bastion. So as you can see, Architect takes the little high ground thing and tries to position on the chandelier.
Supercharge looking to put it
And
away. Roscoe
he sets up here, and this, once again, will probably not be pretty familiar to you if you're only a fan of Overwatch 2. This resembles kind of like what we have now, but realistically, this is a turret form that always worked. Okay. And here, he just jumps up based on that.
huge play right now.
And this is, like, as soon as he hits there, and not many Shock members are dead, this is just over. Okay. As you will see, and also as you hear the crowd roar,
and now he sits up here. Who's going to
look
stop
how he
Architect
melts.
now? Nobody. Spoiler alert.
Now, Twilight is being a little bit cheeky, but it really doesn't matter, right? At this point, there's just too much pressure. It's the ultimate high ground.
Prevent the inevitable here. Slime hanging on for dear life, and I mean that literally in this case. Dizzy trying to get away, but the wrecking ball's not durable enough
for a second or two. I have no idea where that
on the
is.
high ground.
Yeah.
He's boosted up into the roof briefly.
It's just like the ultimate domination, where everyone kind of understood, okay, wow, it's actually happening for a Shock. But that man was also like one of the elite players during that time, right? Very good on several heroes, like a Swiss Army knife. And to just be put into that position, to just basically like defeat the spirits of the opposition, and then having that crowd also erupt. So all of that culminated in just like, this is a moment of domination, and therefore very much iconic. It's just an iconic moment.
Yeah, it's just iconic. No, I think that's one of the defining memories I have from getting into Overwatch, because season 2 was like kind of my first season that I really got into, and yeah, that play it's always near the top of any list that I happen to come up with.
For sure.
That said, Architect, Chandelier, down. We're moving on.
Okay, this one is a beauty. Okay, famously, DeFran came in, who was like one that sort of dodged the Overwatch League for a bit, and then would also later retire early. But what he did do is grace us with that one play. And the background of this play is that they actually saw it on Reddit. They saw this particular technique that we're about to see on Reddit and asked the person to take the post down in order to deploy it in a live match. So we on Hollywood.
Oh my god, I can do it! Wait, I wanna do it!
Yeah.
Okay, let's go, come on.
We're gonna do the meme grab,
Meme grab.
The meme grab, yes.
What are they doing right now?
3, 2, 1, go!
That is a
Can
really...
you get over the roof there?
Oh my.
Oh, you can!
What a play!
Comes
What
down,
a grab!
Tosses in the grab. They're gonna make it work.
They see it on!
Atlanta Reign breaking through that in the most stylish way I've ever seen.
One of you come forward right now and say whose idea that was, because that was amazing. Put that on Twitter. Add that to your resume.
So
That's one of the sickest
this
things
is,
I've ever seen, man.
it's just so unnecessary.
So cool to watch.
Okay, this man could have just walked through the gate and did the same thing, placed the grab in the same position. It arguably would have been a little bit less safe, especially against a diva that was pretty good during the time in Daco, where there's always eat potential, right? But to just like try this, and also just the setup, you know, the camera is set up from below, and like the casters are like, what is this? What's going on here? And then just to see that particular mechanic, it's just like a cool set play that we unfortunately never got too many of throughout the seasons. And also the casting, what a play, what a graph, is just like permanently etched into into my mind palace.
I imagine it's the same as like a Panenka penalty in football, or you know,
Right.
It's kind of showing off, but it's doing it in a stylish way that they'll never see coming, and that's why it works.
Right. No, that's fun. That's a great segue into the next one. Because what this man is like in the next play is about to do is also so unnecessary as to just really style on an opponent. There's no reason you do what Fury is about to do in this play. I don't know why it is, but it's once again GOATs. It was an iconic season.
It's an iconic comp, you know.
Yeah.
Not
It's just
the best, but
for sure. The thing is, like, the skill expression just was very crisp. The characters involved were still fleshed out. We still had the resources for storytelling, and because of like rigidity of meta, like the small differences and all the more. Season 2, once again, London had just won the season. I'm telling you, that does not translate to GOAT's proficiency for this team. Okay? Still the same starting squad pretty much, but by God, they were not a good GOATs team. They barely snuck into playoffs that year, right? Who was good and is probably the best in class that year was Fury. Especially during the first half of the year, I remember his Graviton eat rate was absurdly high. Now, Graviton in GOATs is like a huge win condition, right? And you never want that thing to be eaten by the diva. So there's always constantly a mental battle between this opponent's Zarya and the diva, right?
Sure.
And sometimes you just read the entire manual to someone else's brain. Once again, totally unnecessary. It's 3-0. This is not a playoff match. This is one of our famous first two, or rather, we play the entire series match in order to have accurate scores, which was super boring.
Yeah.
So this match is already over, right?
Yeah.
There's no reason to violate this man to that degree. Let's actually look at the live play in how it happened, at the speed that it happened.
Yeah.
So he goes in, goes out. There's no reason this man is not looking at the action as he flies out, okay? And he flies through the grab and flies out and turns his back to Baby Bay. And really, Baby Bay should have known that a diva of that level does not do that just randomly.
Sure.
Now, look at how quickly this transitions into a grab eat.
This one here. Look at this in slow motion. This is slowed down.
He even looks back.
Again. Look at his flip,
There's
the
no
180.
reason to
The
look
most
back.
impressive aspect, pay attention to his defense matrix charge. It's not there. What?
It's just
in
a
the
flick.
last moment, and
Yeah.
it's instant. Full speed again. Look at this.
How do you even...
Flick.
Do you know what? I went back.
I mean, at full speed, that's mad, isn't it? At full speed, that just looks...
With
At full speed, that doesn't look like it's anything. A level of technical skill that sadly we are not blessed with, and you know,
No.
that's another reason why it is iconic, because I could literally try to do that every day of my life and never do it.
I got another one for you that's just like this. Great alley
Let's
hoop.
keep these segues going.
Look.
Keep these segues
Right.
going.
Right. None of us will be able to do what this man did, and therefore I felt invited to cheat, because I'm not just going to show you one play. I'm going to show you two. I could have shown you probably 3 or 4, but Pine in season 1 it's not an iconic play, it's an iconic moment for a player in time. The craziest part about Pine is if you ask viewers of season 1 about the biggest stars, Pine pops up despite having played like 15% of his team's matches.
Sure.
This man famously, for the most part, only came in during control maps. And not even every control map. And sometimes they brought him out on other stuff, but usually he's just the ace player. But by God, is he an ace player. And the first one, as we go into it, so of course a Widowmaker clip.
Sure.
Where, okay, this one is actually one of those times where he wasn't brought in for the particular control map.
Sure.
He was brought in for Junkertown here. Why Junkertown? Because during that time, Widowmaker was just like one of those heroes that the sidelines, the damage drop off, everything made it so opportune. And you basically won your games based on Widow dominance.
Sure.
Now, if you look at this is the winners of season 1. This is Birdring. This is one of the best hitscan players of all time. This is, to that at that point, it is probably the most highly skilled assembled roster at this point, right? The London Spitfire.
And nailed the
Play.
shots. Not many Widowmakers would go for this play.
Yeah, but Pinewood.
And he just absolutely nails it here. Even the machine gun. What a flick.
Are
And
you
another one.
serious?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
This guy's a.
Okay, so I will say the first kill on Libero is sort of like a little bit weird. I think like that's not particularly great well played by Libero. But everything after is just audacious, especially in the context of the time, right? Like, yes, people were still already like mechanically very blessed. That was still ridiculous. Like there were maybe like 3 or 4 other players that could realistically have the mechanics to pull something like this off, right?
So that's one. So that's one.
That's one. I mean, I couldn't decide on one. I'm sorry. Once again, setting the stage, Boston Uprising are not a pushover in Season 1.
For sure.
Boston Uprising are actually one of the earliest like overperforming budget teams, and everyone had them last. And here, like also based on the name recognition, you see Striker is still like he reveals himself to be possibly the best Tracer in Season 1. This is no slouch team. It's probably a top 5 team at this time, right? They once again bring out a Pine on Control, and here he's on Cassidy. And just the entire sequence just reveals such crisp and like audacious FPS fundamentals that unfortunately never really happened much after in Overwatch, right? Just look at how this man aims and how he controls space. And crucially, also, how this man is not tunnel visioning. He is like super aware of all the different opponents that are there and is very flexible in how he thinks this should be played.
Sure.
Out here, where he wants to try and make his next play.
Casper has gone on to the Pharah again, and we're going to see how long he wants to live this life, because he's going to have to try to deal with Pine. You can do
stays
it.
agile against the Pharah,
Gets
gets
he
it.
can't, as he gets disconnected from his Mercy, finds himself in Pine's
Good old right
crosshairs
clicks.
right there. And they continue to get... He's so aggro on this McCree. He rolls in,
Goes.
somersaults in.
Oh, once
That's
again, this is
another
so
3-kill
unnecessary.
life for Pine.
Okay, so in the span of 25 seconds, he gets the dead-eye! I can't even finish my sentence before he kills someone else. This is unreal.
He doesn't need
All
to,
right, so it took
right?
about like, what,
Yeah.
20 seconds, 25
So-
seconds to get his ultimate? That's
Yeah.
absurdly fast.
Watch this. He's going to go up here.
It's just in general, like how he moves here, how he... I think you have to see it in the context of the time it happened in.
Sure.
It looks like a play that a player could make right now. It looked like magic in 2018. I think the like followers of football will immediately get what I mean is like Pine was not Cristiano or Messi. Pine was Ronaldinho. And what he brought to the server was not like clinical efficiency or anything. It was just unnecessary magic. Right?
It's the
Like
flicks and the tricks.
like just like how Ronaldinho doesn't need to keep the ball in the air while he sprints down the entire pitch in order to finish, right? Or to flank. Pine doesn't need to do like the weird flicks, the weird chases. Like it's nice, but he already has like he uses the ultimate in order to get that play off. It's just super unnecessary in how it worked. And I guess you could argue that like killing Striker here is sort of important in order to not have him trigger overtime. But this man was out of blink charges anyway, and yeah, it's just a styling and like a joy in playing Overwatch that really changed a little bit after Season 1, I would say. And it was also honestly like an authentic character. It's just definitely iconic.
So we go from a DPS player that was maybe gone too soon to a DPS player who has been around the block and then some in our final number 1 most iconic. Talk to us about Flair.
So this is in the season when Flatter finally makes it to be MVP. I think it is an iconic play, not necessarily because it's super like needed or effective, or actually there's some urgency there, as I will explain. But it is really the moment where a guy that has been carrying the hell out of his teams for the longest time, and yes, he gets incrementally better teammates until he gets to that Shanghai roster. But it's really that moment where, through, once again, his own mechanical ability, but also like his team coming through, they managed to win a trophy. And once again, like there's great casting to go alongside it with it. And there is just an unnecessary nature of styling on the opponent. I think this is May Melee for between the Seoul Dynasty and the Shanghai Dragons. And keep in mind, the Seoul Dynasty was up 3-0. Okay. Newsflash. This is the play that enables the reverse sweep. One of the only best of 7 or first to 7 reverse sweeps we ever had in Overwatch League. Once again, Dynasty was 3-0 up. It's 3-2 now. It's about to be 3-3 because of, amongst other things, this play, right? Seoul Dynasty still considered a very strong team at this time. Sure. It's actually the team that will go to the finals this year. And it's... Fledder wasn't playing Widow the entire time. Fledder almost like rage switched to Widow in order to make this happen. So he gets killed on Echo. He goes out of spawn and takes an angle. The fight is relatively balanced. I think Dynasty had already lost Gesture, to be fair. But Prophet also scores the kill on the mech for Shanghai. So this is very much still everyone's play. Okay? So keep that in mind as we jump into this play.
Moving over onto the Widowmaker, taking the clutch into his own hands. The headshot after headshot after headshot. I do not believe what we have just witnessed.
So look, this is not necessary. These guys are already jumping off, okay? I'd like you to acknowledge that there's no reason why you need to headshot here, right?
The Shanghai Dragons are elite.
It's just sad.
Oh my god, what was that from Fledder? He just hops into the spawn, whips onto the Widowmaker and pops out 4 headshots. You're not allowed to do that.
You gotta let him know that you're in your MVP year.
That's it.
That's your candidacy. You just gotta do it to them sometimes. The play itself is audacious, right? Like, it's effective. It's high in a high stakes situation. It's not super duper mechanically impressive. I think he just like holds angles, but it's because also like he could have just let them jump. He's going to switch back anyway. He's going to waste ult charge. It's not that like it is in Overwatch 2 where he switches to a DPS and he has now 25%. That wasn't a thing. He's going to back to Echo. He's going to start at 0, and the headshots are really just stats padding. Okay. Doesn't get the deadlift for no reason. Right?
Yeah, that's it. I don't think there's a better reason to be iconic than showing off.
Yeah, no, and I think like this theme here in how I perceive iconic is it's pretty obvious. I think that's also something that the fans told us. It's like you don't have to do it at the highest stage, but if you do and you do with swagger, that's iconic.
So there you go. Our GGRecon's top 5 or top 6, since we let Yiska cheat. It is Christmas time after all. It gets an extra one. Our top 6 most iconic moments or most iconic plays, whatever you want to call it, in Overwatch League history. Did we talk about your most iconic moment in Overwatch League history? And if not, let us know down in the comments what it is, and argue with us, because we've got nothing better to do over the Christmas season. So thanks as always, Yiska, and we'll be back next time with the worst plays in Overwatch League history.
Let's do it.
See you soon.